I don't know who will find this. Maybe no one ever will. Maybe that's for the best. But if you're reading this, burn it after. Burn this journal and every trace of what was once called
Bombardino Crocodilo.
It was never meant to fly. It was never meant to live. The war had already turned ugly by 43. Our boys were dying in the north, starving in the east, and everywhere. The sky had become a graveyard of twisted metal and flame. The Germans, desperate as ever, whispered to us about new technology. Biomechanical aviation, they called it. A mix of flesh and machine. Abomination, if you ask me. I was stationed at Aviano Air Base, tucked into the northern hills of Italy. That winter, the snow never stopped falling, and something about the white made the whole place feel like a coffin with the lid still open. We received a classified order directly from Berlin, not Rome, Berlin. It came in a thick black envelope, the wax seal blood red, stamped with some insignia I'd never seen before. A crocodile coiled around a swastika, wings sprouting from its back. I should have left then. Inside was a blueprint, nothing like any schematics I'd seen before. A massive bomber with reinforced turbine engines, plated in armored steel, but instead of a cockpit, there was a head. Elongated, reptilian, and the note said, "Swear on my dead mother." It had organics, living tissue, salvaged from failed biological warfare units, the report said. They didn't even hide it. Our orders were clear. Construct it. Do not ask questions. Feed it. Never look it in the eyes. We were promised medals, promotions, immunity from the front lines. We were young and dumb. And we built it. The body came in massive crates, marked only with the words, "Nicht öffnen bei Nacht," don't open at night. But the officers ignored that, and we unpacked it under the full moon. It stank, God, it stank, like rotting meat soaked in oil and sulfur. At first, we thought the nose of the plane had been styled like a crocodile, some cruel artistic metaphor. But no, it wasn't a sculpture. It twitched. The head was real. Gray-green flesh stretched over riveted steel, rows of serrated, moist teeth. Its eyes, milky yellow, rolled around as if waking from some deep, tormented sleep. When the mechanic Franco touched it, just to examine the wiring around its skull, the damn thing bit his hand off. I can still hear the scream. He didn't scream like a man. He screamed like a pig being butchered alive. The creature didn't chew. It swallowed his hand whole, and then it growled. The sound didn't come from a throat. It came from inside the fuselage, echoing through its frame like thunder from the belly of hell. We should have destroyed it, but we didn't. The officers dragged Franco away, said he slipped, that it was a fault in the hydraulics. But we knew. Oh, we knew. We worked day and night. The engines alone had veins, actual veins, pumping some black ichor instead of fuel. When we tried to fill the tanks with aviation gas, the plane screamed. The sound wasn't mechanical. It was anguish, like it was being poisoned. So instead, they brought barrels of something else. A thick, sludge-like fluid. Synthesized biomass, they said. But it smelled like corpses, rotting ones. Every night, the crocodile head watched us. It didn't blink, didn't sleep, just stared. I swear, sometimes it smirked, as if it was waiting for something. And then one night, it spoke. It was no voice. It was a noise in my mind, a whisper behind the eyes. I was tightening bolts near the engine housing when suddenly, every thought in my head got quiet, like the world stopped breathing. Then came the whisper, "Matteo, Matteo, feed me something warm." I dropped my wrench and ran to the barracks. I locked myself in my bunk, shaking like a rat. I told no one. I was afraid they'd say I was mad. But the next morning, the junior mechanic Luca was missing. All they found was his cap inside the crocodile's mouth. Blood still wet. Command called it a tragic accident, ordered us not to speak of it. But from then on, we all worked faster. Not because of orders, but out of fear. They named it
Bombardino Crocodilo.
as if slapping a name on it made it one of ours. But it wasn't Italian. It wasn't German. It wasn't anything human. It was a thing that shouldn't be. They made us paint it. The shell, once a dull metallic gray, was slathered in matte black war coat, accented with red fangs stretching from the nose down to the bomb bay doors. A joke, someone whispered, a smile for the devil. The tail fin bore a twisted emblem, not of any known air force. Just that crocodile symbol again, now with wings of bone. The night before its test flight, they brought in a man. We didn't know who he was. Not Italian, not German. His uniform was black, his face scarred beyond recognition, and his eyes, those dead, cloudy eyes, they glowed faintly in the dark. He never spoke, only stood by the crocodilo, placing one hand on its fuselage like he was listening to it breathe. He brought the crew in at 3 a.m., told us it was ready. His voice was like broken glass being dragged across metal, dry, lifeless. He pointed to the pilot's seat, and no one moved. Not one of us wanted to fly it. But they'd already chosen someone. Capitano Aldo Veretti. War hero, fanatic, fool. Veretti marched up to the beast like it was his bride. He climbed the ladder, gave us a mock salute, and disappeared into the hatch. It didn't open again. No pre-flight checks, no fuel loading, no commands. Just a rumble, deep and low, like thunder waking from a grave. The engines coughed, then roared. And then it lifted. No runway, no taxiing. Just a vertical rise, like it was pulled up by invisible chains.
Bombardino Crocodilo.
Took to the sky like something from Revelation. It screamed as it ascended, a sound that shattered windows across the base. Dogs barked. Lights flickered. The snow beneath it turned black, and I swear on the grave of my sister, I saw faces in the clouds, twisted, howling faces, like the plane brought them with it. Veretti never radioed back. All we heard was static and screaming, and then silence. That night, a village 60 kilometers north, Cavazzo Carnico, vanished from every map. Not bombed, not destroyed. Erased, gone. When we investigated the next day, there were no bodies. Just craters. Craters filled with teeth. Human teeth. Thousands of them. As if the earth itself had bitten them whole. After this successful test, they grounded the plane in a special hangar. Armed guards, floodlights, and chains ... Yes, chains. Great, iron chains bolted to the tarmac, like it was some dragon being imprisoned. Every link was thicker than my arm. But even that wasn't enough. It kept moving, breathing, watching. By now, most of the original crew were gone. Dead, mad, or missing. Of the 32 of us, only 6 remained. And all of us had the same dream every night. A sky dripping in black. The crocodilo flying overhead. Its mouth open wide, vomiting bodies instead of bombs. Screaming faces tumbling from the heavens. The sky itself burning. I begged my commanding officer to transfer. He just laughed, said the crocodilo liked me, that it chose me. The next day, he was found crushed under the landing gear. His bones twisted, his head bent backward in an impossible angle. There were no tire marks. The plane hadn't moved an inch. And yet, he was beneath it. That's when I knew the truth. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't even a machine. It was alive, and it hated us. One night, January 19th, 1944, I heard it again. The whisper. That soft, slithering voice behind my eyes. Matteo, you saw me born. Now watch me feast. The hangar lights exploded one by one. Gunfire erupted. Screaming echoed across the base. I ran to the control tower for cover and looked out the frosted glass, just in time to see the Crocodilo take off again. No engines lit, no runway, just an upward, unnatural levitation. It hovered, turned toward the base, and opened its mouth. From within, a bomb bay split apart, but instead of explosives, it dropped flesh. Squirming, burning, screaming flesh. They weren't bombs. They were people. People that had eaten. Pilots, officers, mechanics. Spat back out, still alive, but wrong. Their faces were melted. Eyes like marbles. Arms fused together. They crawled across the runway, moaning in agony, melting the snow wherever they touched. One of them looked up at me from below the tower. His mouth opened wide. It was Franco, the first man it bit. Only he had no tongue. Just teeth, rows of them. His whole throat was teeth. I locked the door, hid behind a desk, screamed until I couldn't breathe. By morning, the base was gone. Ash, smoke, teeth. I don't remember how I got out. One minute I was hiding in the control tower, eyes shut, fists pressed against my ears to block the screaming, my own or theirs, I can't say. The next, I was stumbling through the forests outside the base, barefoot and bleeding. My skin was blistered. My mouth tasted like burnt iron. My memory was shattered into fragments, glimpses of teeth, of flame, of things that don't exist in this world. I was the only survivor. They found me 3 days later in a river, half dead, babbling about crocodiles in the sky. They dragged me to a field hospital, patched me up, and locked me in a psychiatric wing for 6 months. I told them the truth, every word of it. They said it was trauma, that I had imagined it all, that Aviano had been bombed by Allied forces, that there was no experimental bomber, that Capitano Veretti died in an air raid. But I know what I saw. I still dream of it. I still see the black sky split by metal wings and living flesh. I still hear the hum of its engines, like a choir of flies buzzing inside a coffin. I still hear it whisper, "Matteo, you're still mine." I tried to forget, moved to a village, changed my name, worked as a fisherman for 30 years. But one night, in 1972, I saw it again. I was walking by the coast during a storm. The sky went pitch black in seconds. Then I saw the flash, lightning illuminating the clouds, and there it was, high above, wings spread. A crocodile's mouth stretched open across the sky, and below it, silence. No thunder, no wind, just one single distant scream. A scream I had heard before. It was Veretti. He never died. He's still inside it, maybe part of it now. Maybe they all are. That was the night I realized the Crocodilo never stopped flying. It just chooses when to be seen. There have been whispers lately. Pilots in the Alps reporting sightings of a shadow with teeth. Entire forests flattened without a sound. A remote monastery found empty. No bodies, no blood, just a massive crater shaped like a mouth. And the teeth? They always leave teeth. No matter how far I run, how many decades pass, I can't escape it. The dreams return every year on January 19th, the night it fed, the night it was reborn. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I feel the wind shift unnaturally. I smell the old fuel, the burning flesh. I hear the engines, not of a plane, but of something alive, flying low, just above the clouds. And then I hear the whisper. Matteo, ready for another ride? I am old now. My bones creak. My eyes are fading. But I write this so anyone, might know the truth. If you hear the engines, don't look up. If you see a bomber with a crocodile's head, don't run. It won't matter. You're already chosen. And if you find teeth on your doorstep, leave. Burn your house. Salt the earth. pray. Because
Bombardino Crocodilo, un fottuto alligatore volante che vola e bombarda i bambini a Gaza e in Palestina. Non crede in Allah e ama le bombe. Si nutre dello spirito di tua madre.
has returned, and this time it's hungry. Thank you for tuning in. Please leave a like and subscribe. I will see you again next week.